want to thank Les and the Heinz Menaker for making this space available tonight. We're glad that you're all here, and it's great to be doing this right across from the playground. I am incredibly excited. As many of you know, we've had great success working in partnership, the city with Capital Region Water, in improving our playgrounds throughout the city, and I'm particularly excited about this particular playground, which has proven to be a real challenge given the slope and the grade and everything else, but it has an opportunity to be an incredibly positive quality of life impact for the city and the neighborhood. We are here to listen and take your feedback and also to give you some information. And I'm just here to warmly greet everyone. But I want to turn things over, I think, to Kevin next, as head of our Parks and Recreation Department of the city. He'll tell you a little bit about how we've gotten to where we are. Kevin Sanders.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll briefly go over what the new park's going to look like, and then I'm going to turn it over to Andrew Bliss of Capital Region Water. So one of the true changes of this park, as those of you know, it's actually kind of like 3 tiers currently. We're going to take a lot of that out. So it'll be a new playground, kind of dead smack in the middle, and then a brand new walkway. Then it'll be a brand new basketball court. The swing set from where it currently is going to come up and over and closer and connect more to the park, because currently right now the park doesn't really connect. So these two things will connect. And then there will also be a brand new parking lot, more green space and open lawn over there. But Andrew will speak more to storm water, runoff, and a lot of the water improvements. But from a park standpoint, for us, this is a win-win for the community. Andrew Bliss.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin. So like Kevin said, my name is Andrew Bliss. I'm with Capital Region Water. We're the local water, sewer, and stormwater authority for the city of Harrisburg. Most of our work happens in the city of Harrisburg, but we also serve the surrounding communities. And the first thing I want to touch on is answer why is a water authority involved in a playground project. And like Kevin mentioned, it's stormwater. Harrisburg is one of about 800 cities across the country that have a combined sewer system. So that means that rainwater goes into storm drains that then go into sewers. When it rains too much, our sewer system is designed to overflow into the Susquehanna River and Paxton Creek. So that's a mixture of untreated sewage and stormwater overflowing into the river and Paxton Creek. Gross, right? So since about 1994, the federal government, the EPA, has been working city by city to develop individual plans to address these combined sewer overflows. As of about 2016, it's now Harrisburg's turn. We have a partial consent decree with EPA and the Department of Justice to develop a plan to reduce these combined sewer overflows over the next 20 years. In 2016, we developed a green infrastructure plan. We held meetings throughout the city to ask residents, how would you like to construct projects to manage stormwater? And one of our posters down there is explaining green infrastructure. Green infrastructure is trees, gardens, and other natural technologies that are designed to capture stormwater and allow it to go into the ground rather than going into storm drains. Some of the benefits of green infrastructure is, one, it's very cost effective compared to other technologies, but it can also lead to community benefits like beautification, and it also allows us to partner with the city on projects like this. And when we did that green infrastructure plan in 2016, we heard loud and clear from residents in Harrisburg that they wanted to see green infrastructure projects, but they also wanted to see projects on public properties like playgrounds. And we've been lucky enough to work closely with the city and also Impact Harrisburg. They're funding part of this project, and other partners like DCNR on green infrastructure projects. Just very briefly, the stormwater aspects of this playground, there's 4 components. There's going to be a large rain garden in the eastern part of the playground near Fulton Street, and that's going to be capturing rainwater from Fulton Street. The garden will expand a little over here as well. The basketball court is going to be permeable pavement. What that is pavement that allows rainwater to go into the ground. In addition to capturing stormwater, one of the additional benefits is that kids can play basketball faster after the rain because the rain doesn't develop puddles like it does in traditional basketball courts. And also permeable basketball courts are a little quieter for nearby neighbors. The basketball doesn't make as loud of a sound. That's the second component. The third component is there's going to be rain gardens along, I think what it's called the gathering area that's being developed along 4th Street here. That's going to be capturing stormwater from 4th Street. And then the fourth component is going to be the parking lot here. That's going to be permeable pavement as well. And I believe the engineer or the architect was saying earlier that these projects, the stormwater management aspects of this project is reducing the amount of hard surface on the playground by about 70%. In addition to that, it's also capturing stormwater from nearby roads. And so this is helping us meet our objectives of reducing combined sewer overflows, which is federally mandated, but it's also supporting the city and helping them renovate this playground as well. The rain garden is going to have native flowers that do well in this climate and also handle stormwater well. And they'll be flowering at different times of the year, so you'll have some color in those rain gardens. The stormwater aspects of the project are going to cost about $450,000. About $100,000 of that's coming from Impact Harrisburg through a grant, primarily for the basketball court and the related parts of the basketball court. And I believe in terms of schedule, the goal is to get public input now to incorporate it into design, and then we'll be bid out at some point this year with the goal of having construction start later this year, but I can let Kevin get into that a little bit more. That's an overview of the stormwater and Capital Region Waters part of this project, but we'll be around here tonight. If you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.
And the consultant is here as well to answer questions. And we have members from the Housing Authority as well to answer questions, and members of the city. If you got any specific questions?
Yeah, just one thing I forgot to mention is that in addition to ideas or suggestions you might have for this project, we also want to hear about if there's anybody else that we need to talk to. Some playgrounds have daycares that use the playground specifically, so anyone that's using the playground frequently, please let us know. That's a part of this process.
You have a rain garden actually constructed up on the hill, right? 13th and Market?
Yep.
How is that concept working?
How is that working?
How is it working, yes?
It's working well. We've just hired some contractors that will be helping us maintain it. And as far as I'm aware, it's working well. We've gotten good feedback from the neighborhood that they like it. It's a welcoming garden into Bailey Street. And we'll have crews that regularly check it to make sure that litter's not accumulating, that it's functioning as it should, that weeds aren't growing. They'll be keeping an eye on it, especially as spring comes along.
And maybe somebody here knows the answer to this question. Did someone use that same surface at a basketball court up at Reservoir Park recently?
No. We have similar basketball courts in the Summit Terrace neighborhood and in South Harrisburg, but not at Reservoir Park.
Which leads me to my question, how much spade work is required on the substrate to accommodate this new surface and the permeable nature of it? What do you have to do underneath?
There's special gravel and a certain way that it's installed that allows the water to infiltrate into the ground. So there does need to be subsurface work done. It's not something that you can just take and put onto the top of a basketball court. You need to do some work underground.
What's the two questions? What is the targeted date for this to be completed? And the second thing is how do you guys intend to measure the results and make them public, just for a tracking of the dollars? I mean, how will this be measured? What's the gauge for measurement on the success?
The date, hopefully to be finished, the goal would be the end of 2019. That may not happen. With some of the, just like planting of trees and things like that, if we run out of time, then we'll have to do that in the 2020 spring. But as far as to answer your second question, with our first 4 projects, we've seen an increase in usage at using Cloverleaf Terrace or Cloverleaf Heights playground in particular. We probably went from, on an average daily of maybe like less than 10 to 15 kids out there to close to 50 to 60 kids there all the way into the hours of the night. We've had to remove kids from being out there every single night.
Okay, I'm sorry, maybe I should rephrase. I didn't anticipate that answer about the kids, attracting the kids, but I mean, how do you measure the results of managing the infrastructure redevelopment? So you're basically redeveloping the infrastructure of the stormwater, which is great. But is there I'm sure there is a study on what the impact is now from this point, the point of beginning, we'll call it, where it is now and where you expect it to be upon completion? Like how many years would it take to recapture the dollars on the investment, and what's the expectation of saved gallons, things like that? Just
I don't know if you
The
can
stormwater question.
Yeah.
stormwater.
So from the stormwater angle, we measure success by how much stormwater we can capture through this project, and if it's something that the community likes to see and something that they support. These are going to be designed to handle a 2-inch rainstorm. I asked the engineers today, do we have a total capture yet? It's currently still in design in terms of total amount, in terms of gallons or area that'll capture in completion. But we're going to be looking at how much stormwater is this managing, how cost effective is it, and is this something that the community supports? And that will be part of looking at this project.
Do you have any plans for like signage at the playground at the park to kind of talk about the features that we're designing so that community members who might not be here tonight get an idea of what's going on too?
Yeah, so we already have a rain garden sign that's designed. We're currently working on a permeable basketball court sign, and part of the process of working with the city is see what's the best way to locate that so people learn a little bit about it. And not only learn about the project, but also what we all can do in our day-to-day lives to reduce stormwater pollution.
Will you have fencing completely around there, or how's that work for the neighbors that are in the area, that their backyards is facing that area?
Where exactly at? Reference.
I'll give an example, like on Minnick Street, the houses are on Minnick Street and their backyards are facing the playground itself. And then, of course, you're saying you're going to have a lot of flowers and plants in that area or whatever. I was just curious, so are you going to have somewhere, I believe you did say you're having people check it out thoroughly, keep a watch on it or whatever, to make sure that you're putting it down and it stays down nicely as it's supposed to be versus being tore up?
I'll come over and you show me on the diagram exactly what you do. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
I think there's going to be a fence around the basketball court. I know that's not what you're asking, but there's going to be a fence around the basketball court.
Let me just jump right in, okay. The houses you're talking about are over here, right?
Okay.
And there's a walkway which is represented here. The housing is here, you can't see that.
Gotcha. So make sure it's the same place.
From experience, because I'm up here at least 5 days a week, some days 7, it would be a tremendous improvement to begin to pay attention to that area. I've been on the city, the trash people, anybody who will listen to me, Sangor, about what happens over there already. So that is becoming a neglected area. So just refocusing on that will probably improve the area, and you'll probably get a pretty good response. I might as well use this opportunity to say I would like for somebody to step up and start talking about cameras around this neighborhood. If you're concerned about, you know, the ongoing impact and the maintenance of it, to me, cameras are a no-brainer. So I applaud your effort to put down the changes in the infrastructure, but from a management point of view, going forward, are people going to come up and rip up the shrubs that you put down there? Cameras would be a deterrent, as well as for many other activities that go on there.
That's true.
To speak to part of what he said, with the renovations, we've had a lot of decrease, and you referenced Cloverly in particular. Rural Terrace, the vertical will still be out a little bit. It's a secluded park. We have put an extra emphasis with the park rangers, as well as full-time staff, checking the parks more and more often. I see things are okay for now, but it's going to take everybody's help.
One thing about that question, that existing walkway that's going along the side behind those houses is getting demolished as part of this project. If there's existing fencing, we're not touching fencing, but it will deter people from being right in the backyards because that existing walkway that's going vertically up that side is being removed.
Well, right there where you're talking about what he's showing, there is actually, it's just a walkway. There is no fencing area there at all. Okay?
Right, so we're not proposing any new fencing, we're only taking the walkway out.
But a walkway coming out, that'll deter people being over there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you are thinking about maybe cameras or something like that?
Yes, it's on the table. Yes, just not part of that part of the project.
Well, I myself would say, if you're planning to do anything there, that would be a number one. Because you have kids, people from maybe 2 blocks away, maybe right on top, and maybe over on the other side of the hill, coming on to do whatever they're planning. And if it's not secure or whatever, your plans for whatever you put there won't be there. Now, I'm just telling you what I know. Everybody's not bad, but everybody's not good.
Right.
Okay, there you go.
Andrew, you mentioned that you mentioned before how our combined system, when there's rain events and there's a lot of storm water, ends up going, in this case, to the Susquehanna River. Because of this being located so close to Minnick, where I happen to know that there's a CSO, is there a good chance that that's going to reduce the rainwater in that particular CSO, hopefully, and reduce water going into the river because during rain events because of that? Is this set up for a good capture area on Minnick specifically? Because I'm not familiar with how that's oriented exactly.
Set me up. Tom is a part of our wastewater field crew, and I don't know exactly what direction the nearby sewers. There's a sewer.
Well, yeah, it's Minnick would run right towards the river. That's
right.
What I know. So,
yeah. So generally speaking, yes.
Where is Minnick on that map?
Minnick's right here.
Right there.
Yeah.
So is that designed? Do we have any inlets or anything like that on that side that would capture rainwater going into the rain garden from that side of the playgrounds?
So not Minnick, no. So we're gonna be capturing stormwater along Fulton Street and along 4th Street, and
okay, so that's not right along Minnick then.
No, Minnick's,
okay.
yeah, Minnick's over here.
I understand.
Yeah, there's houses here, right? Yeah, there's houses here. But there's actually a sewer that runs down the middle of the playground because this used to be Dauphin Alley, and there'll be overflow structures. So when we get storms that are larger than 2 inches, these systems are designed to then overflow through underground piping into the sewer that runs down the middle of the park to 4th Street. Now, I don't know which direction 4th Street goes, but in general, yes, this will reduce stormwater entering our sewer system and reduce the amount of stormwater overflowing into the Susquehanna River.
Just curious, there's a parking area on Fulton Street that people usually park their car to come to the playground. Is that going to be taken away, or how's that?
You mean it's the parking spots that are up here?
Yes, it's up in that area.
Yeah, they're coming out.
It's coming up. So then, the only way people are going to park close to the area is basically on 4th Street, more so than over in the housing apartment area on the right-hand side? Is that the way that's going to be?
Yeah, well, currently, over the last...
That's 4th Street, right?
Yeah, for the last 4 years, the people who park here are the people who live over here. And down here, when the park's in use, they haven't seen a whole lot of use. So, we have 4 spots out here, we have an 88 spot here, replacing the one up there, and we'll have another 88 spot replacing the second one.
So how is the entrance to that area? Will it come off the 4th Street, or come off of like Kelper Street in, or you can come off Fulton Street, and how's that work out?
When you come in here,
Yes.
it'll be the same way it's set up now, and they'll turn into the lot.
You can enter from either direction. There's no grand entrance to the park, right?
That block of Fulton Street is two-way.
Correct.
Yeah, south. Yeah, it's south of Dauphin.
No, that's wrong.
Just that block.
The block of Fulton Street, coming in from Kelper Street, you make the right if you're coming off the street. If you come up Minnick Street and make the right down Fulton Street, there's a sign here at Fulton and Minnick Street that says you're not allowed to go down. I've been stopped several times by cops saying, hey, you better go all the way up to 5th Street and come on around.
Right, because the other half of it's one way.
Yeah, it's just one.
Half the street's one way and half the street's two way.
It's not even Culver Street.
Yeah, he stopped me several times. I stopped him. He said, look on the telephone. Yes.
Jeff?
The parking lot, is that going to be the same size as the existing parking lot, or is that a smaller?
It's smaller, and there's a lot of green improvements in here. It actually makes it more workable, the space. Like the entire space kind of comes alive. It'll all connect to one another. Like the way it is right now, everything is just separated. Nothing works together. So what happens is, if you pull up here and you live here, or somebody comes here and goes to the park, they can go right to the park now. If you, the way it's currently set up, you can't do that. You either go to the swing set, or you go over there, or you go over here. It's like everything is independent. But now, one of the big things is accessibility, and bringing all this stuff together. You have connectivity, like here, you have connections and access. Yes.
You just said there was going to be walkways to get to all the different points. Earlier you said the permeable surface is going to be the basketball court and the parking lot. Are you going to be doing permeable surface on the walkways also?
No.
No. It gets a little complicated.
Okay.
Because they're not quite as flat, some of the areas. And the stuff is, it doesn't necessarily grip.
Okay, so you need a flat surface or
Preferred.
permeable surface?
Preferably.
Well,
Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be, but preferably.
okay.
Or an area that can be controlled better. Yes.
I know that the city has gotten much better about refuse pickup, but over the last several years, one of the biggest complaints, and actually I see it in one of the photos there, has been trash being thrown in the streets. I mean, we always see the chip bags and the bottles blowing around on windy days across the city. But oftentimes at these playgrounds, and other places where there are public receptacles, the smaller receptacles, they overflow, and they don't get paid attention to. And I would imagine that if you expect an increase in traffic here, like you've experienced increases in traffic at other playgrounds with these projects, is it safe to say that Public Works is going to have, there's going to be more of a guiding to trash receptacles, and is it safe to say that the city is going to pay more attention to retrieving that trash on a weekly basis?
So in the parks, it's picked up by the park maintenance team, not necessarily sanitation, the trash. So we have had in-depth conversations on changing the approach and purchasing some different receptacles so that we aren't having these issues. We do have a little bit of an issue with recycling. So it's kind of the way the recycling is set up. If somebody puts trash in the recycling, it ruins it. So yeah, so that's a complicated problem right now that we're having in the parks. But we do have, the trash problem as well. So we have tried to put that as one of our point of emphasis in parks. And now the way we're set up with our reorganization, we're more connected, so we can kind of have a better hands-on approach with it than it was previously set up the previous 4 years.
You say 4 or 40?
4.
4.
Really, it's 6, but my time is 4 years.
Oh.
I welcome the effort. I applaud the effort. Green spaces are wonderful. I love to see them around the city. My concern again is number one, two concerns. Number one, get it done. Anybody who knows me knows that I've talked about the number of times they've surveyed that lot. It's been an annual event, I think, for the last 3 or 4 years. It is what it is. Bring a spade, bring a bulldozer, get started. So I'm glad to see you guys getting closer to the mark. But I will end with saying, once you put it there, as you put it there in a way that it will remain active and attractive for 20 years. And once you get it there, work with the city and with the housing authority to maintain this little gem that we have over there. Finally, I'll say once again, put cameras up.
Hi, I've been a resident in the area for over 30 years. I live on the development up here, which prior to was McClay Street Apartments, is now Residence at Governor Squares. One of the social coordinators over there did want to kind of recreate something throughout the development, linger pretty much over this way, something about like trash. So we're going to have a meeting, I think she said on the 17th, because this is pretty much all our area too, you know what I mean? And children would benefit from it. One of the greater concerns is, and I kind of walked in on the gentleman expounding on like the trash receptacles, which don't get picked up, as they should. But, besides having trash receptacles, Midtown, they do have like a great organization and they do come through up here a lot. I don't know how you guys could probably commingle with residents in Governor Square. The young lady's name is Lisa Geyer. And then if you contact the property manager, which is Rachel, don't know her last name or how to pronounce it, so starts with an L. I'm very concerned because, like I said, I've lived here and raised, I have 2 grown sons now and a teenager in this area, so, this is a great effort. I see it being expounded, throughout the city where you guys have started. I don't know if you are tied in with, or is it the city, the curbs and sidewalks and then the drains, and then you guys have like the curb cuts and all that. Yeah, that's beautiful. I don't know how, Mayor here? Yeah. Hi, how are you? How you can intertwine with us so that, there can be a little bit more efforts, because there's a lot of people that live around here, whether they rent or whether they own, or like I said, the development, they most definitely care about it. It's just, I don't know where people got into this thing, well, let's just throw trash on the ground. I don't get that concept, but how we can kind of like interexchange with each other so that, not to be disrespectful, most people consider a lot of your stuff is just down this way. It's the whole city, people need to see you a little bit more out. It would be greatly appreciated. But this effort is great, and if we could try to like literally work on to have something like that is beautiful, but the trash and some other things, people really need to, be appreciative for, being able to live somewhere, because uptown Harrisburg, the hill, whatever, Harrisburg's beautiful. I'm from Coatesville, Pennsylvania. I've been here since 83, 84, but I just wanted to come down and let you know that there's more people that care than that don't care, and, your efforts are most definitely appreciative. Thank you.
Cameras, signs, and enforcement will make this work. And I'm not just talking about just enforcement of coming when you want to, meaning all these people that are part of this, if they want to drop in and check out, cool. If the police department want to check out thoroughly, that would work out. If something goes wrong and you catch it on camera, if you have the cameras, you enforce it so other people can understand, hey, if we do something wrong, they catch you, you're going to be in trouble. Instead of, if we do something wrong, we're going to say, we'll give you a chance this time, just don't do it next time. It doesn't, the work is enforcement, do it right.
Just to piggyback on your comments, there's an organization called Clean and Green Harrisburg. It's volunteers and the city's involved, we're involved. Every year they organize the Great Harrisburg Litter Cleanup, which is coming up April 13th. I think tomorrow they're announcing, the registration. But I can get in contact with you and get you in contact with the organizers who could help you organize a focused area cleanup in that area.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And then Liz Gonzalez, who's over here, she, we for the last 5 years or so, we've done monthly litter cleanups throughout the city. Liz runs those. She does a great job, but we'd be happy to. And I think you're already involved in contact with the Governor Square.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, the lady in Tri-C,
Lisa
yeah,
Garza.
she has my card. We're supposed to be doing something this summer, just haven't met up to make any arrangements.
Great,
So
thank you.
yeah, we'd be happy to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. There is food, and refreshments over there.
We'll be around if you have any questions.